We should be live. As usual, please let me know if you can hear me and see me without any major issues. I'll just wait until that time and sip my tea right into the mic. It's far too hot for me to actually sip. It just came out of the mic. So I microwave my tea like a goddamn plebe. Oh, I was supposed to do a joke. Oh, well. Okay, I'm going to do it anyways. And you're going to act fresh and act like I'm doing it for the first time, and you're going to laugh. I was going to have the feed start. And hold on. I'm going to make sure I have my own audio. Okay. I was going to have the feed start, and the first thing you see was me playing a video game like this. And I'd say, well, you fucks, you got it. You got my face cam. Now you just get to watch me play video games. Huh? No, maybe I'll answer questions later. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter that my thing failed miserably. That was a dumb idea. But here I am. Yes, it is not a Saturday, John. But we are going to do one Saturday, too, because I need to make up lost ground, obviously. You want to watch me daintily. You're not supposed to do this, by the way. You're not supposed to do this at all. You're not supposed to use tea bags. That's really for the common folk, which I totally am. I'm kind of a level below the common folk. What you're supposed to do is use, of course, the tea dunker. And then once it's in there for like 90 seconds, you're supposed to take it out. But I never understand that. Patricio, it's okay. It's not a very funny joke, and you're better off not understanding it. Oh, well, whatever. I'll explain. I experimented last week with doing at our usual time, with doing a stream where it was a Q&A as usual, but instead of seeing me, you saw me playing video games, like a Let's Play. Because why not, I figured. It's fun. I get to do two things at once, and I can answer questions, and I did. But a couple problems with it was, number one, you can't schedule. Because I was casting straight from my PS4. However, you cannot schedule an event that way. So no one's going to know to show up ahead of time. People have to stumble on it, right? Or they get a notification right away and have to drop whatever they're doing. And I don't expect people to do that ever, especially for me. Also, I don't know. A lot of people who were there just didn't ask questions like they were supposed to, and they didn't ask board gaming related questions. And it was a total, it was a dumb thing. I just thought I would try it and thought it would be fun. I thought it would work out. But it didn't, and that's fine. Adam, you need to calm down, buddy. But alright, we are here, and yes, I will do one on Saturday as well. So, news and things going on. I published a review early this morning, and I'll make for better or for worse, for some of you, I will make a preview that I've already done live. It's been just sort of lingering on my channel for a little while, so you'll see that pop up. I have another preview I need to shoot, and then I'm actually kind of done with previews, I think, for at least a couple of weeks, mercifully. And then tomorrow night, I was gonna do it tonight, but I just don't have the energy for it. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna do a review of, it's too hard to actually get the box out, so I'll just tell you. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer most recent board game. Sadly, I actually had the original one from, was it Mattel or Hasbro? And it was alright, and I probably should have reviewed it, but I think that was actually before I even had a channel, and I got rid of it, so. I got that in a math trade. That was my very first math trade. I remember that very well. One of the very first game nights I ever had, we played that game. But anyways, I have a lot of thoughts about not a ton of thoughts, but some significant thoughts about the new Buffy the Vampire board slaying game. That's what they should have called it! Anyways. It's from Jasco Games, who did the really missed opportunity Mega Man game. The Mega Man game that I honestly, I wasn't vicious to it. I thought that there was some promise there. I gotta stop hitting the table, I know. The Mega Man game had a lot of promise. There were some good things about it. And they got some aspects of the theme right, like going through the stages and fighting the guy and taking his power. But there's just so many things that were like old school things that we've grown out of for board gaming, and it's just so long and never ended. I wish someone would take the idea and run with it and make a better game out of it, that's for sure. Did Buffy the Vampire Slayer fall into the same trap? You shall see. As far as anything else, I am definitely going to take a little more time off this week just to chill out and get some stuff done around the apartment. But I'm going to try to do a top 10 because I know I'm long overdue for that. I just don't know what I'm going to do for it yet. If you guys have an idea, I'm willing to entertain it. I do have some ideas. I just don't know which. I don't know if I'm really feeling any of them. So I'm open to any suggestions. Okay, let's go ahead and get right to it. I'm sure at least some questions have popped up. Maybe a couple. We don't have a lot of people yet, but that's fine. I've been dormant for a while, and no one knows this is happening on a weird night, although I did post about it. All right. Twitch without the game capture. Brilliant. I am still entertaining the thought of doing my own Twitch stream, just calling it like BGB Live or something like that, which will mostly be playing video games, but maybe occasionally I can talk my Saturday group into doing a board game or a card game. That might be fun. I'll have to get Saifu, the artist who occasionally pops in the chat, to make me another piece of artwork with like Bugbear playing a game, like a Mountain Dew or something. I kind of hate Mountain Dew now. I drink Mountain Dew if there's no Coke option, and Diet Coke specifically. Alright, let's get to some questions. Oh no! Did the chat just eat a bunch of questions? Okay, I only see Mario. That's really weird. What just happened? Like, in real time, YouTube just ate questions or 8 comments. Alright, if I missed something that you guys just posted, because the first question I see is from Mariano. Which do you prefer, Arcadia Quest or Arcadia Quest Inferno? Dun, dun, dun. I will keep you in suspense for that. It's coming soon. But thank you for asking. That's in my high priority list. Oh my god, it's eating questions as I'm talking. I gotta go quick. Nick, how do you like The Last of Us? I haven't played it yet. Unless you're making a snide comment about the prereq stream and how much they hate it. But I will be playing Last of Us when I can. I have a long list of games I want to get to now that I have a PS4. Oh god, I'm missing questions. This is terrible. YouTube is literally eating questions. Guys, this is terrible. What's going on? I think this has got to be on my end. Something's happening. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reload this page real quick. Give me a moment. Alright. There we go. That was bizarre and scary. Guys, I was scared for your questions. I brought a list of 45 questions. Let me know when you're ready. Lay them on me, son. Let some people fill in those gaps, though. Adam, this is the first Q&A I've gotten to watch for a while. The last one I was at work working, quote unquote. That's right. I've spent most of my time at work on my phone playing Marvel Future Fight. In between like sporadic bouts of work that is so stressful and exhausting that I just want to cry. Like today. Oh, it was a bad day. Does your commute dramatically decrease when school's out? Yeah, well, here's the deal. It would. And you do notice something on holidays, but the problem is traffic is genuine. There's so many bad drivers down here doing so many bad things that usually comes out in the wash. For example, today's spring break down here, and should have been an easy day today. Tractor trailer jackknifed on 95 and was hanging over the overpass. Like the cab was hanging over the overpass. And so they shut down traffic on both the north and the south side. Luckily, I knew about that ahead of time because my phone warned me. It didn't say what it was. I just found that on the news later. I just said heavy traffic. So I went to the turnpike instead. Turnpike's maybe 2 miles down the road from me. I'm on the street with one of the turnpike on-ramps. Took me 30 minutes to get there. Because everyone else was going their way and there was another accident. Welcome to Florida! The commute is the most stressful part of my day, of my week, of my life, and that's not an exaggeration. I'm convinced that's why I have so much gray hair now, at the very young and virile age of 36. So, Nick, what have you been up to lately outside of board gaming? Playing Mass Effect? Yeah, not as much as I would like to. I think I've had Mass Effect since day one. So I pre-ordered it, got it in the mail on day one, and I'm still only to Vold, which is one of like the preliminary missions. Very sad. But yeah, that's that. Hopefully I finish it soon because I want to get to Persona 5. I've never played any of the Personas before. I'm very excited. I haven't played a JRPG in a long time. I haven't played video games in a long time until I got my PS4 and Mass Effect. So I'm excited for that. How are the beagles? Bugbear is fine. Bugbear is right there chewing on herself. And we were playing with a stick earlier when I walked her when I got home from work, which is very fun. I haven't seen Honeybee in a while. For those of you who know, Honeybee is with my ex, longtime ex. It feels weird to call her that now. It's been 5 freaking years. But I don't see her as much as I used to because we've moved on and things are there. And I do miss Honeybee, but I know that she's okay. So that's enough for me. Top 10 board game puns. I hate puns. No, really, I do. No, I don't really hate them, but I'm not good at them, that's for sure. Did you watch Ghost in the Shell, the 2017 movie? Have you watched the original anime movie? Have you watched it as an older, less boob-obsessed anime viewer? Well, there's a few problems there. First off, I'm as boob-obsessed as I ever was, if not more so. That's not true. I'm a face, head, and hair guy. Boobs, I'll sacrifice quite a lot in boobs. Never been a big deal for me, especially the very ham-fisted fan service that is shoved into a lot of anime. Not a big deal for me. I'm going to do my own audio check real quick. Hold on. Okay, good. But hey, just to answer the pertinent questions there, I did watch Ghost in the Shell pretty close to when it came out back in the 90s. I watched the sequel, and I watched a little bit of one of the TV series. I don't even remember which one it was. Probably Standalone Complex. And I liked everything that I saw. Ghost in the Shell didn't really affect me the way that it did a lot of other anime viewers. I moved on to other anime and enjoyed other stuff more. But I did like it. Innocence, which was the Ghost in the Shell second movie, really slow paced to a fault, I would say. It's not that I don't mind. It's not that I mind slow paced, methodical either movies or anime. But when you're talking about anime, you want them to take advantage of the medium, and I felt that Ghost in the Shell Innocence was just too slow paced and not a lot going on screen. I have not seen the new movie. I'm actually willing to see it, but probably not in theaters. I will gleefully get it when it's on DVD or Blu-ray or streaming. I just don't want to go to the theaters to it. I'm sad that I miss John Wick too, so it takes a lot to get me out into the theater. But I think it could be entertaining. I've heard that it's just incredibly stylish and there's just not a lot going on story-wise, which is very sad for me, but that as someone who sometimes just watches something just to be brain dead, I'm okay with that. And I personally was not offended by the whole whitewashing thing and think it was way overblown. But I'm a white guy, so. Nick, you ever try to play board games down at the Holocaust Center? Well, it's Hitler never played board games. I mean, there's really no reports that he ever played board games. That's really not true. Do you think 2017 has potential to be back up to par of games like 2015? No! And we're off to a terrible start. And most of the games I've played are crap. And there's some good ones, but they're just like, it's okay. It's okay. It's not great. I'm not excited about a lot of games. I mean, the reason I didn't do a top 10 anticipated games list is because of time and the moment passed. It got to end of January, it got to February, it got to March, and I'm like, okay, this isn't happening. But then I really thought about it, and I'm like, what would I put on it? Some stuff I feel really half-heartedly about. Stuff that's been like Kickstarters I've been waiting on for years that don't even feel like 2017 releases because I've known about them for so long. And I'm bracing for disappointment with some of them. So, I don't know. To me, no. It's not to say I'm not excited about some things, Pandemic Legacy Season 2, but again, it almost feels like the movie industry, like, it's just retreads of things we've already had. I don't know. But for some people, this will be their favorite year, I'm sure. Nick, did your gaming group suffer without you for as long as we did? To some degree, but that was... I was just canceling a lot of my meetups because I was so busy with other things. So it was intentional and not really like... I don't know. I don't think anyone really cared. I have some people in my group who are dedicated, like when I have a meetup, they'll come to my meetup if they can. And barring anything extraordinary. And there's other people that are just like, it's a fun thing to do if I have nothing else to do. And that's fine. So I was looking into Fantasy Flight Games' Star Wars RPG and noticed you did a review of it 100 years ago when I was just a whippersnapper. Any updated thoughts? I'm thinking of running a one-shot for May 4th because I'm cheesy. You sure is. Yeah, it's good. I liked that RPG a lot. I didn't play it for very long. I had a Sunday group. This was back when the channel was new. I wasn't as, into it as I am now. I didn't feel so entrenched and rooted into the channel to where I had to get out a certain amount of content. And my job at the time wasn't as stressful, and I just didn't have as much going on. Also, that was post my long-term relationship, so I was looking for things to do, I think. So that was a different time, and in that sense, I was looking for a good RPG to play. I played a little bit of Shadowrun 5th edition too, and that was very good. But I like the Star Wars thing. You gotta understand, I'm not a Star Wars nut. Once upon a time I was, in a galaxy far, far away. Oh. But I really was so burned by those awful prequels and by Star Wars culture in general and the terrible expanded universe that I can barely call myself a fan anymore. I'm a fan of some of the movies, is what I am now. But having said that, I really enjoyed that RPG. I liked the system of how the dice were rolled, and I can't even explain it well. It's been a long time, but I just know that I liked it and how the Force worked and the dark side of the Force from the GM. Yeah, I liked the classes. I was a scout. I wasn't a scoundrel. What was I? I was like a ranger. I was like whatever that equivalent of a ranger was, to where I was. I had a hunting rifle and just a lot of cool stuff, and I was an explorer. Maybe that's what I was. I like the whole thing. So I would recommend that still if you're into it. I just don't have the time. There's a lot of RPGs I would play if I had infinite time. I want to play Lamentations of the Flame Princess because it just looks incredibly offensive. Let's see. 2017 has started pretty slow. Gloomhaven has been big, but only if you're into that type of game. What type of game would that be exactly? Boring? Oh, let's get into it. Set them up. Let's go. Wait till that review comes out. I was lamenting to myself, speaking of Lamentations, that you can't criticize board games anymore. You can't criticize board games anymore without giving a million qualifiers. Like, oh, this isn't for me, but someone else might like it, and I only gave it 3 or 4 plays. Had I given it the requisite 25 plays you need to make a cursory review of a game, then I could give my valid opinion. But since I can't, then maybe this game is fine for you, is what everyone expects out of you now. If you just say a game is bad and didn't work for you, everyone jumps down your throat, all up in your mess. And wait until that review comes out, because, I don't know, I need to play Gloomhaven more, but it ain't doing much for me. I was very excited for it. I'm very let down by it. I find it very boring. And I will never, ever be able to adequately explain that to the mobs of people who have already sacrificed their firstborn to it. But I will say this, when you see someone write, if you ever express your opinion on Board Game Geek, or usually Board Game Geek or anywhere else like that, and someone writes back to you with a 5-paragraph long thesis, know that it means nothing, and your opinion is just as valid as it was before. What's the best digital board game you can play against an AI? I don't play enough digital board games in particular to know the answer to that question. I'm very sorry. I really don't. I can't even give you a speculative answer. I commute across Long Island, New York. Listening to podcasts really improves my state of mind. No politics, though. Yeah, I gotta admit, my friends really give me a hard time because I will sometimes listen to the conservative talk radio station on my way to and from work just to get angry, and I don't know why I do it to myself. Do you like the new Evangelion movies, the rebuild of Evangelion? I do, although I think I'm 1 or 2 movies behind. I know I'm 1 movie behind, and I think the other one's long delayed, right? I'm not sure they were necessary, but I love Evangelion, so I was totally up with doing it. Nick, how is your storage unit doing? Have you been able to clear out a lot of games via your sell list? I got rid of a ton of games over the weekend from one angel buyer, I'll call him, who actually lives locally, who just wanted to help me out and also wanted a lot of games cheap and bought a ton of games for me, and it barely made a dent. That is my goal for the next month, although I've said that a couple of months in a row, is to sell off enough games to clear out that storage unit and stop paying for it. So I definitely want to do that, because I'm never going to play most of those games, and most of them look like garbage anyways. Do you ever get Kingdom Death Monsters to the table? Gloomhaven has been sucking all my gaming time. It's been a while, but usually that comes in spurts. I'll just decide, okay, fuck it, I'm setting aside a lot of time, and I'm setting aside my table space, and I'm going to play Kingdom Death Monster for a long time. So it'll happen again. At this point, I'm not in a rush to do so. Ghost in the Shell is okay, but man, oh man, is the Laughing Man a cool villain. Was very different for its time. That's true. I will give you that. Have you considered breaking out your reviews into 2? Reviews and how to play? Definitely not going to do that. If anything, it's going to go in the opposite direction, where I cut one of those out completely, like the how to plays. I was thrilled with doing that Mythos Tales review. Now, that was a very special case, because that's a weird game that doesn't really do well from me having it being thoroughly explained, because there's not much to it, and it's full of spoilers. But I was like, oh, it's so fun! I barely have to do any editing. I can just talk, and all I want to do is talk, as you can clearly, evidently tell. So I was very excited for that. But I will never do a separate how to play. No. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. I do it because it's expected for me for some of my in-depth reviews. That's the only reason I do it, and I hate it. And I'll totally tell you, I'm just not good at it. Leave it to the pros. I just got my Kickstarter copy of Goonies. Remember that? Not remember the Goonies, the movie. Remember the board game Kickstarter based on the Goonies? There was a huge issue with Amazon not shipping them to backers. The game company had to order one by one back from them and ship them to Snakes and Lattes, then to us. Oh my god. That sounds like a nightmare. You know, it's funny, because I was not a backer of Gloomhaven. I pre-ordered it, because I was like, yeah, alright, I'll get on the hype, right? So I pre-ordered it, and I got separate emails, along with everyone else who pre-ordered it, telling me like what the status was and all that. And something weird happened to ours with Amazon too. Like, what's his name? What's the designer and publisher's name? Isaac. He had to like call Amazon and rip their head off and say, "Why are you holding these games?" They weren't going to send our games until they were available at retail, and he had to go call and give them a hard time about it. Maybe he had to do something like that, and he just didn't tell us. I don't know, but that's crazy. That's the danger of working with a large corporation. What are your thoughts on Tosh Kalar? I've never played it. I've seen it. It's a Vlada Chavato game. I think it's one-on-one primarily, right? It's supposed to be fantasy warrior type stuff, but I heard it's quite abstract. Doesn't look like it's for me. I'll be very honest with you, so I'm just not even going to try it. I guess if someone who I was playing 2-player games with had it, I wouldn't say no to it, though. Have you ever had an issue like this with your backed games? Oh, you're talking about the other thing. I have not, other than that thing with Gloomhaven that was just weird, but wasn't a big deal. I didn't really care. I wasn't upset about it. I don't think anyone was. But with Kingdom Death Monster, you say other than Kingdom Death Monster. With Kingdom Death Monster, it was just really late, and no one cared because we were so excited for it. I can't remember if the Arkham Horror LCG was this year or last year, but man, it's a top 5 all-time game for me. Why do you have a sad face with that? Is that sad? I will play it. It's sitting here. I just don't... I played it once. I have to play it again. Let's put it that way. You want my copy of Mystic Vale? Nightmare game. What does that mean? I like Mystic Vale. I like it. You don't like it? What's Nightmare game mean, though? I don't understand. Explain yourself, Jeremy. Explain yourself, or I'll kick you right out of here. Have you had a chance to play Terraforming Mars? Too bad the components suck that D. Well, I didn't hear that. I know this. I have no interest in it. It looks super fucking boring. I hate Mars as a theme. I don't know why Mars as a theme is a hot thing right now, or maybe hopefully that killed all the excitement. In other words, people got it out of their system, because I have zero interest in it. Now, look, I know I don't like Stronghold Games or the douchebag that runs it, but even if I didn't, I swear to you, I'd have zero interest in that game. Along with their Western-themed game that people... I keep getting emails about it. Have you tried the Western Trail? I hate cowboys. I hate cowboys and Mars. So it's never going to happen. In real life, I hope we go to Mars. I don't want to play a game about it. Oh yeah, the doggo was in the back. She is right here right now. She is tired. Hey Nick, glad to see you back. Since you have a PS4, have you played Uncharted 4? Will you start reviewing video games? I don't think I'm going to review them because I don't know enough about what I'm talking about. And I don't have a large width and breadth of experience with video games anymore. I used to. Now it's like I don't want to buy an Xbox One. I don't want to buy a Wii U. I don't want to buy a Switch until they get some games besides Zelda. I only have my PS4, so I'm probably not going to review games. But to the other question, I actually bought the bundle that had Uncharted 4, and I started playing a little bit of it before Mass Effect came out. And I like Uncharted. I've only played one of them, the Uncharted 2, and got a perfect platinum trophy for it. So I do like it quite a bit, and I'm excited to keep playing it. Although I will say it's basically like playing a movie, which has its plot pluses and negatives. The thing where you play Crash Bandicoot in the beginning, and that's a real thing, spoiler alert, is kind of dumb. But I appreciate it, I guess. What did you think of the new Thor trailer? I like it a lot! It's super cheesy, but you know what? That's what Thor's supposed to be. They made a mistake in the first Thor movie and made it super serious, yo, and it was kind of boring. It was alright, though. When they got schlocky in the second one, and even more so in this one, good move. That's what you need to do with Thor, because he's inherently silly and ridiculous. So I'm excited for it. I'm more excited for that than Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I don't know why that's not doing much for me. That's also schlock. And I like James Gunn a lot, even aside from his Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Slither's coming out on Blu-ray soon. But I don't know. I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy recently. I was like, yeah, it's alright. But I will see it, though. Where's your Gloomhaven? Oh my god. This is the funny thing, too. Everyone who's a Gloomhaven fan, if you saw how I shoved it back in the box after I was done playing the other day, you'd get so mad at me. Oh my goodness. I gave 0 fucks about how I held both ends of the box, both sides of the box, up against the table, and then went like this with my arm to all the cards and the pieces. And when one of them filled up, I just got the other one. And I'm not joking. Oh, guys, I'm in a mood tonight. I have not been drinking, but that's to come. Who would you rather sit next to for a 12-hour flight, David Serlin or Ryan Lockett? Now, I'm wondering why you're asking that question, because David Serlin has a reputation. He has a bit of a negative reputation among board gamers now for being copycat who steals a lot of other people's ideas, but also kind of an insufferable bore online. But I don't know any of that about Ryan Lockett, but I might be wrong. I would love to know some dirt. 'Cause I'm a gossipy whore. So maybe you mean that positively. Maybe you like both of those guys. Which one would you prefer, Star Wars Imperials? I'm losing questions again. What is with YouTube? This is weird, and I don't like it. Hold on. It's really weird. I don't know why it's doing this all of a sudden. I guess this is a new feature that they implemented. Hold on. Now I gotta find my place. I reloaded the page. By the way, I'll answer your question, Patricio, just based on nothing. As of right now, I'd sit next to Ryan Lockett. By the way, I like both of their games, for the most part. They've both done some stinkers, though. Oof. Play Dingo's Dreams and go hang yourself. Which one would you prefer? Star Wars Imperial Assault, Arcadia Quest, or Wrath of a Chardalon? I'm torn between purchasing one of them. Here's what you need to know. Those are 3 very different games. I cannot stress that enough. It's very weird that you're juxtaposing those. Star Wars Imperial Assault is Descent, a heavy dungeon crawling board game, scenario based. Arcadia Quest is scenario based, kind of, but it's a skirmishing, brawling game. And Wrath of a Chardalon is a very light cooperative game. And Imperial Assault is one versus all. If you're asking me, I would tell you Arcadia Quest. Either of them. But know that I've fallen a bit out of favor with Imperial Assault, and I haven't played Wrath of the Chardalon or any of those series of games very much lately. Regarding not being able to criticize board games, which I brought up earlier, Joel Eady from Drive Thru Review who I greatly enjoyed, has totally stopped doing bad reviews. He just doesn't do them if he doesn't like the game now. Shame, in my opinion. It is a shame. And by the way, I like Joel a lot, too. I have a deep amount of respect for him, and he probably has very good reasons why he doesn't want to do it, and probably for some of the things that I said. Like, it's the internet is the internet, and you have to grow accustomed to a certain amount of shit posting, right? Even from the people in the board gaming community who hold themselves up so high, like we're better than all the other geekdom communities when we're really not. But at a certain point, it becomes very tiring. Even if you tell yourself that this is what you need to expect on the internet, it becomes very tiring to get constant criticism from people because you don't like the game that they love. The hoops that people jump through to try to convince you that you're wrong, and it's just like, you either just suck it up and move on and ignore it. And that sucks because I don't want to ignore people's comments. I want to read people's comments and give feedback if I can. But you either have to ignore it completely, or if you're like me, you'll fight with these people, and that's not the right thing to do either, because that's even more exhausting. Joel is not the type of person who would do that, I don't think. But he probably... look, I'm just speculating. Maybe that's one of the reasons. He just looks at all these comments of people who are like, how could you criticize this game that I love? And he's just like, you know what? And it's just enough already. And he probably, like me, he has an overpacked schedule of things to review. And I'll admit, it's more fun for me to talk about a game that I really love than one that I'm even just okay about. But sometimes a game is bad. This is why I think that's not a great decision for everyone. Sometimes a game is bad, and yeah, it's not necessarily that fun to just shit all over it. But it can sometimes fail in ways that are either so profound or come so close to succeeding and failing so miserably that it's interesting to talk about. I brought up the Mega Man game earlier. I had a lot to say about that because it failed in such a glorious, interesting way. And so I think it's more like you should be choosy about the negative reviews that you do, but you shouldn't... I would never just say, I'm not doing bad reviews anymore. Because, I don't know. But again, this is just me. Joel, I respect a lot, and I feel like he probably has very good reasons for doing that, even if I don't necessarily agree that they're right for me. Were you able to get rid of your Pathfinder sets? No one's buying Pathfinder. That game fell hard. Does anyone even do organized play for that stupid game anymore? Here's the thing. I don't think it's a stupid game. I think it's a very fun game. Once the app came out, killed it. There is no reason to play the physical version of the Pathfinder Adventure card game if you have access to a device that lets you play the app. The end. I mean that sincerely. That's not the case for every board game. It is definitely the case for that one. Nick, you moved Tonto Quarry from above Super Dungeon Explorer to a lower shelf. Why? I hate that game now. No, it's not true. I probably had that off the shelf for like either a top 10 that I did, maybe from all the way back when I did the top 100, and then I just moved it somewhere else in the first spot I saw available. Sometimes I make it an effort to put certain games in spots. Sometimes I just put them back up there, but it's right behind me. Actually, yeah, you can see it right there. Oh, that's probably why you're commenting. I thought maybe you saw it in another video and made a note of it. And then everyone points out every mistake you make. Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like, oh, well, the classic example of that. So there's some people in the industry I don't get along with, but it's not necessarily because I think that they're bad people or anything like that. Those people and I are never going to get along. Tom Vassell, and that's a good example. He and I cannot get along. But I think he's a wonderful guy in a lot of ways, right? There's some people in the industry I think are total assholes, and I'm amazed that they keep stumbling into success somehow, however minor and slight. And one of those is, what is this guy's name? I'm not even being... I'm not joking here. I'm being serious. What is his name? I can't even think of the game I was about to bring up either. What's the guy who did Battle for Souls? Whatever that guy's name is. So, I did a review of his game that was a complete knockoff of Coup, but all of his games just use whatever cheap art he can get for free. And he did a game for Cool Stuff Inc.'s imprint at the time that was like it was coup, but with the whole thing where you were trying to steal back art that the Nazis stole. What's the name of that game? Whatever. Total ripoff of coup, and it added some elements that actually made coup worse. I still thought it was really interesting in the way that I thought the coup was interesting, and so I did a review of it. And during the overview, I got one rule wrong. Something that we actually did right in when we played it, and I just fumbled when I did the overview, and he found that opening and tried to tear my ass up in the comments like, look at this joke of a man criticizing my game when he played it wrong. Take this review down now. That's the kind of crap that happens. When someone doesn't like the thing that you like, or in this case, the thing that you made, you will do whatever it takes to discredit them. And that's why I say the board gaming community is no different than any other community online. And believe me, as our president would say. Oh boy, I didn't even mean this. This is a nice segue. Do you enjoy trolling Trump supporters in person? Most of the time, they just retreat to their The Donald subreddit. Boy, is that a safe space for conservatives, he says. Well, that is a shithole. That is a cesspool right there. Now, I'm not going to troll Trump supporters in real life because most of them probably are cowardly, sniveling wimps. You're going to run into the one that's just a crazy person with a gun. And then it's a whole other matter. So, yeah, it's not a fight it's really worth having. These people seem very vindictive. The Goonies issue was for Canada only, by the way. Oh, yeah, that explains it. Yeah, okay. Would you rather be a guest on Best of the Worst or Wheel of the Worst? Patricia, that is the best question I've read tonight. Gold star. Whoa, that's a great question. You know what's funny? Wheel of the Worst, most of the videos I end up watching on that are minutes long. The one, like, they did an episode yesterday, it just posted yesterday, that is return to form. I actually thought the last couple of Wheel of the Worst, Best of the Worst videos were only okay. They're alright. I mean, all their stuff they do is good, but they were not their best. That video they posted yesterday was amazing. But one of the videos they did was 9 minutes long. And that's the thing. All the stuff that they watch is terrible to some degree or another. So would I rather watch 3 movies on Best of the Worst that are, in some cases, some of them are short, like 80 minutes. Some of them are 90 minutes, 100 minutes, 2 hours long. Do I really want to sit through 3 of those movies as opposed to like 3 really short informational videos? So that's the thing. And they both had great moments. But I would say that some of the best moments on that show have come from the movies they've watched. So it's a tough choice. I don't know. I like the way you talk. Well, Sherry, I like the way you compliment me. Thank you very much. I think that was Portal Games. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Clarify, Daniel. We talked about too much. I'm going too fast. Did you have a chance to watch the Sam Harris and Cenk Uygur interview about Islam? I watched the whole 3 hours like a turd burglar. I don't even know what that means. Very interesting conversation. I didn't. I'm very out of the Young Turks. I quit cold turkey because I found some of their behavior just before and right after, depending on which staff member you're talking about. I found some of their behavior right just before and right after the election pretty disgusting. In some ways, I thought they were like, "Oh, am I watching the liberal Alex Jones channel, Infowars?" And I was so despondent, and not really despondent, but like, in a way, despondent and fatigued by the election that I wanted out for a while. Having said that, I'll gladly talk about politics. That's one of those things that Sam Harris can be very abrasive and go a little bit too far in places. We may have gone too far in a few places. But I tend to side more with him on that topic than Cenk Uygur. But that actually is mostly because I'm an atheist as well. And like a hardcore atheist. Not like shoving in your face all the time atheist, but I'm very firm in my beliefs about not believing. Is a walkthrough needed for reviews? I would like a shorter review that doesn't go through the basics of how to play. Well, you say that, Joe, and a lot of people say that, and I agree with you, but a lot of people, whenever I float the idea of doing a new format, when I shrunk down my overviews to try to condense them into something shorter, even shorter than they are now, people complained. I got a lot of complaints. I'm way too close now. People were really upset. And people were like, no, this is how you have to do it. This is the format. And so, you can't ever please everybody. I know that. Ultimately, I have to just do what I think is okay for me and hope that other people follow along, which is the old Howard Stern adage. Howard Stern, love him or hate him, had one of the best lines and most inspirational lines for me, which is that he said, when interviewed, and he was like, how did you know your format, the shock jock thing, which he hates, by the way, that term, how did you know that would be successful? He was like, well, I never thought I was doing anything shocking. I didn't think I was doing anything that awful and controversial. I did what I thought was funny. I did the type of thing and the type of show that I would want to listen to. And I just hoped that people would follow along with me. And so that's kind of the mindset I try to have. Can you do the Rich Evans laugh? Can anyone except for Rich Evans do the Rich Evans laugh? And I feel like if you're an amateur and you attempt that, you might like break through the dimensional barriers and summon Cthulhu or something. That's a laugh that should only be wielded by an expert. If Nick could be on any lots of Red Letter Media questions now, so I'm obsessed with that channel. If Nick could be on any Red Letter Media show, I'd be so happy. We should request it, but who's going to pay for the flights? They would never have me. I've also talked a lot of shit on their prereq videos. Sometimes I get upset with their opinions. Previously Recorded is an offshoot channel of Red Letter Media where Rich Evans and Jack Packard play video games. They play Let's Play videos, but what's great about it is that even if you don't like the game they're playing, or even if you don't like Let's Play videos, it's more like a podcast. They just talk about everything else except for the video game most times. But sometimes they have some really obnoxious views. Like Rich Evans has such a childish view of the Mass Effect series as a whole that it's just infuriating as a Mass Effect fan. But that's me. I want to go to Mars for the next 4 years. Don't we all, even without a spacesuit? Would you play Great Westworld Trail, though? Make that happen. That would be amazing. I'll wait for the expanded standalone game, the Samurai World. What if they make a game of... I'm really far behind, by the way. What if they make a game of cowboys on Mars without their spacesuits on? I'd play that. Wouldn't last very long. Slither! Good taste, man. Yeah, I had a friend who sadly doesn't live around here anymore. Well, sadly for me. Not sadly for him. Some good friends who I met through the gaming group who moved back up... Not back up to Canada. They moved up to Canada for the first time because the wife... works for Electronic Arts in their, I think, Montreal studio? Something like that. But when he was still down here, one of the last things that he ever did was lent me his copy of Slither. And it was great. Really great. Really fun, schlocky, self-aware horror movie. Cronenbergian horror movie. I just got into Ascension and love it. What should be my first expansion and second and third? I have fallen out of love with Ascension, but I should tell you that, first off, I would skip the original sets. Don't bother with them. The older stuff, the original Ascension set, I know they redid it. I still don't think they really redid it, like keeping everything. I wouldn't bother. What you should do is, I liked the Vigil one. Anything with the energy shards I thought was very interesting. The transforming cards, the Rise of Darkness, or I forget the names. Those were very, very good. I even liked the Dream one to a certain degree. I have another one that I didn't even bother to review, like the X one. I don't know. You know, the one with the X-Men? You should check out Coldwater Crown. It's a game about fishing, but super clever worker placement. I haven't even heard about that. I'll check it out. Please don't end this at 9 p.m. Please. Well, you know I always go a little bit over, but I do have other work to do. So we'll see where I am at with the questions. Okay, Adam? That's all I can promise. Did you go watch Your Name? It's an anime movie with a limited release in theaters. I know very well. There is a theater near me, kind of near me, playing it, but it's 55 minutes away. And that's if the traffic is good. And so I was going to do it, and I kind of talked myself out of it. I couldn't get any of my friends that are local to go and see it with me. And that would be the tipping point. If I could get a posse together and go down and see it, I would definitely do it. By myself, driving that far there and back and being in the theater alone, I don't want to do it. So I'll wait for the subtitled official version to come out somehow. But I'm very excited. I do want to see it. I've heard a lot of really good things. Almost universal praise. The people who don't seem to like it that much just aren't that much of an anime fan, which I totally understand. Yeah, because the same thing happened with The Void. I actually bought a ticket to see a special screening of The Void, which is a new, like, Cthulhu-inspired, Cronenberg horror-inspired, John Carpenter type movie. And I was very excited to see it. They had one showing, and they were going to have, I think, the creators Skype in and talk to people. And I bought my ticket and everything, and it was 11:30 at night last Friday. And I'm like, I was exhausted. I had videos to do. People were waiting on my videos. I hadn't done videos in weeks, and I'm like, I just got to stay home. It's sad. I don't get it. There's tons of stuff in Miami, but not as much now. Now that I'm up in West Palm Beach. Are there any games on Kickstarter at the moment that you have backed or plan to? No. I have some things that I put on like 48-hour notice, but like when it gets to the last 48 hours, I'll get a notification. I probably won't end up backing them though. Not a lot that I'm not interested in. I can't remember what those games are right now. Do you watch any other board game reviewers? I started watching Man vs. Meeple, but they seem like a glorified ad company. Yeah, not like people like me who do nothing but great non-preview related stuff. Oh, yeah, it's good. To be fair, I have been a glorified ad company for much of the last month or so. So I will not be criticizing any other reviewer for doing things like that. Man vs. Meeple, I've heard good things about them. I have not watched them. I don't really watch any other reviewers. Like I talked about Joel Eady earlier, and I like Joel Eady. He's a great guy. What I've seen of his stuff is really great. Same thing with Rado. But I don't watch other board gaming reviewing channels. Part of it is like I don't want other people's opinions to affect mine at all. And part of it is I just don't have time, and I'm not into it. I don't watch a lot of other YouTube in general to begin with, so there is that. What I've heard about Man vs. Meeple is that their production values make mine look like a pile of shit. So kudos to them. Oh, he didn't design, Ryan Lockett didn't design Ningo Streams. He just published and did the art. Well, I will take back that part of it. But he did publish it. Oh, sometimes I see people respond to other people's questions. I don't even know what they're talking about. I went to... Thank you for the compliment, Brock. I went to Japan and fell in love with all the toilet amenities. Seat warmers, bidet, even a flushing noise to hide others. Have you thought about a bidet extension to your toilet? Oh my god. OMG, it changed my life. You would be surprised. You get some things going properly in the bathroom situation. That's why the squatty potty is so popular. I've heard some mixed things about the actual science of the squatty potty and whether it actually does what it says it claims to do. It's a big deal now. People are more open about it, and kudos to them. But I guess I'm okay with my bathroom situation. Or maybe I'm not, and I don't know. But that does sound cool. It is funny that... like, that's what you tell me about your trip to Japan. Not the sights or the culture, the toilet amenities. But I feel you. What do you think of Tom Vassell as a reviewer? Are you trying to make me get into a shitstorm again? He's fine. Totally fine. If you're into that, he's fine. As Jack Packer would say, everything's fine all the time. Brought to you by Cool Me or Not. Oh, I couldn't help it. Yeah, that's fine, Matthew. I was just giving you a hard time about the juxtaposition of those three games. On the bookshelf that's often behind you, there's a game with a box with a mouth and a tongue. What is it? The box is cool. I got access to the early version, the early expansions for Kingdom Death Monster. And I will be reviewing them soon. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So since you say you'll do bad reviews, can we get your new Angelus reviews? Why would you say that? I'll probably do that someday. I'm either going to do that, or I'm going to shove it into a loss review. Depends on whether it gets sold first. Whatever comes first. Blukes gave you the proper answer to that question, Bruce. Will you be giving the second Cartoon Network deck building game a chance? No. I may review this since they sent it to me. I should do it. The crossover pack for the DC game for the Rogues. Sierra Knights. I don't know what that is, Adam, that you're randomly saying. Nick, I'm working on my D&D prep for tomorrow. Give me an NPC name for a Dwarven High Chancellor, please. Blumpkin. Hi, Nick. What did you like about Mass Effect Andromeda? Did you like the writing? What other problems you had with the game besides the face animations? What's wrong with your face? There's a lot I like about Mass Effect Andromeda. If you really want to open that can of worms, if you've actually played Andromeda, or you've seen enough of it to form an opinion of it based on Let's Play videos, and you have criticisms about it, that's fine. I understand the criticisms about it. People don't like the animation. People think it's a long, meandering, too many fetch quests. Storyline's not as good as it was in the original. And the storyline wasn't quite as epic in some ways. I understand your criticisms. I validate them. But I will tell you this. I love that game. Unabashedly so. Unapologetically so. Because it does everything I want a Mass Effect game to do. I like doing all the side quests. I like just hanging out and chilling and talking to my squad mates and earning their trust and fucking them. Hot alien sex is what I'm all about, folks. And this game gives it to me. Oh, does it give it to me? More than 5 episodes of Rick and Morty back to back. More alien sex than that. No, I'm being rather facetious, but those are, the relationships and the quests and the world building. I mean, and I actually think this is a great story. Like, look, some of the individual plot details are very hackneyed and cliched, like the leader of the Ket and all that. But the overall thing of the Andromeda initiative and going to this new world is fascinating to me. I love it. I love the frontier feeling of these people who end up and they go into cryosleep. If you don't know the story of it, it takes place after the first, well, sort of. It takes place after the first Mass Effect game. There is this thing called the Andromeda Initiative where a bunch of people from the major races built arcs and put thousands of people on them and then went into cryosleep and shot themselves across the universe at light speed to go to the Andromeda Galaxy, which was 600 years of travel away, to build a new life and a new civilization there, completely disconnected from the original world. And I just find that whole frontier thing great. It really works for me. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. The combat is better than it's ever been, and I know people will tell you, well, that's not saying much for a Mass Effect game. But in general, I enjoy it. So I'm having a blast with it. I love my rider. I don't mind the facial animations. It doesn't bother me. I'm used to playing games. If you look at games like I was watching a Let's Play of Maximo a couple weeks ago, and it looked like utter garbage with the faces. And that's what I grew up on. So to tell me that Mass Effect looks bad, I'm like, I guess? I mean, what games have you played? Did you play games 30 years ago? Because I did. They were terrible. So I'm not as picky about that kind of stuff. But again, the only people whose opinions I do not consider valid are the people who never played the game, never intended to play the game, have an axe to grind with BioWare, either because of the ending of Mass Effect 3 or just because they are SJWs, and who brigaded and within 5 minutes of Metacritic allowing user reviews on, it had thousands of negative ratings that were 1 or 2 lines that all sounded the same. Those are the people who can go fuck themselves. But it's got a 70 on the PS4 version. I think that's about right, for better or for worse. I talked way too long about that. Okay, yeah, the man in question is Robert Burke, and the game is Operation Faust. That's it. I never would have remembered the name of the game. He also went on a berating rant with Battle for Souls backers when some of them wanted to keep some Kickstarter exclusives exclusive. Yeah, there was that, and there were some people who were supposed to be artwork in the game, like characters, and he said, I just can't do it. It didn't work out. And those people were rightfully pissed off, and he's and he just went on a rant against them. You want to know why? Because he's not a good person. I think it was Portal Games that had the Amazon shipping issues. Oh, okay. Has your lack of content affected your subscriber numbers? Well, it hasn't, like, degraded, but certainly it's slowed down to, like, a crawl. Which, of course. That's the whole thing. The number one thing you need to do on YouTube is have content coming out no matter what it is. And I didn't. So, that was that. Which is totally predictable. Why aren't you looking forward to Thunderstone Quest? And do you have plans to revisit any of the top 10s? I'm sure I will revisit some of my old top 10s, but I feel like I was doing that for a while, and I want to do some new ones, at least new to me, before I get to some other revisits. I'm not looking forward to Thunderstone Quest because, one, I'd kind of gotten sick of the original Thunderstone, or I should say Thunderstone Advanced, which was not the original Thunderstone. But you know what? I'm just sick of them reprinting the same game over and over again and invalidating the old ones. At least with Thunderstone Advance, that was when I jumped in. But if you were an original adopter of the first Thunderstone, you could use some of it if you really wanted to. They had some conversion kits or something like that, or they could tell you how you can convert them and still use them. And if you didn't want to, you could buy the new reprinted versions. They pretty much just said, oh, no, we're starting the whole line again with Thunderstone Quest, and all that old crap is just on its own. You can play it by itself, but you're never going to be able to do it with this. And I'm just like, go fuck yourself. I'm done with that crap. I'm done with it. Let's see. Damn, I thought it was starting in 15 minutes. I'm glad to see Nick is alive. At least there's one of you. I guess I will watch later. Sorry, Charles. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. I want to do it a little bit earlier because, I don't know, 9 o'clock on a weekday, people are getting ready for bed and putting people in bed because we're old. Have you ever watched Movies with Mikey on YouTube channel Chainsaw Suit Original? I've never heard of either of those things, but you've got my interest based just on the name. What do you think about the new Kickstarter game called Grim Forest? I don't know anything about it. I will have to check that out. Sweet. Out of context, Bruce says. Any thoughts on Perdition's Mouth, the board game? I did a Kickstarter preview for that, so I should probably still shut up for now. I haven't played the final version, so it genuinely is not right for me to say anything about it. What are your thoughts on a small company starting a new Kickstarter as they start shipping their prior one? That's a shitty thing, and they will never stop doing it. From what I understand, there are people who don't have their copy of Gloomhaven yet, the first edition, and it's back on Kickstarter for a second edition. Now, I don't want to be a hypocrite about that because obviously I was super excited and thrilled for Kingdom Death Monster, but I think there was like a year and some change in between when backers got... I mean, first off, if you want to look at it this way, there was like 4 years in between the two Kickstarters themselves, and there was at least a year and a half between when people got the last of their rewards. And it didn't feel like it was... And there's so much new content. With this one, it's like there's still people who haven't gotten their rewards from just being fulfilled a few months ago. It's only been like less than 2 years, I think, like a year and a half. And some of the upgrades are like really essential things. So, but hey, it's making a ton of money, so what do I know? Have you watched any of the Neil Breen movies covered in RLM? I'm going to tell you right now, very few of the movies that they watch there, I'm actually going to go out on my own and watch. Like, never ever. They cover them pretty thoroughly, and I'm more than willing to let them take the bullet for me. Having said that, those look amazing in all the right ways. I might one day watch The Room, though. They never covered that on RLM, but they talk about it a lot. It seems it would be better to get several projects in the pipeline than waiting for one to be completely delivered. There's hostility towards companies that do this, and it seems a bit unfair. Oh, okay, Travis. I'll still let you finish your thoughts, because you're actually on the other side of where I am with this. I understand, but perception is everything. The customer is not always right, but in this case, while you absolutely should be planning games ahead of time, here's the deal. If you're a Kickstarter producer, if you've decided that you are going to publish your games through Kickstarter, unless you're a company like Homey or not, and that's a whole other topic we can touch on, I'm assuming that this is your only way to do this and that you're not doing this for a living. If you were doing it for a living, you probably would have taken your games to publishers and tried to go the freelance route that way. You decided you wanted to do this as your little pet project and see if it could be the start of your career. Well, if that's the case, don't sell me a song and dance about how you can't wait. You cannot wait for this one to be fulfilled to start the next one. You've got to get this line of income coming in. That just tells me that you didn't plan very well. Come to me when you've done, like, because the deal is this. If you do like 3 or 4 or 5 Kickstarters and they're successful, and your games are actually going to retail and not just going to Kickstarter backers and never heard of again, then you should have steady income coming in from that. At least a little tiny bit to keep you going through those cold winter months. At which point, you don't need to worry about how bad it looks that you haven't fulfilled all of your games yet, and you're, meanwhile, asking people to give you thousands and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars on a Kickstarter. Now, Cool Me or Not is a whole other deal, and they're just a joke at this point. A joke that everyone is buying into willingly. They're a publicly traded company in Asia. They got a loan for millions of dollars on top of the millions of dollars they make through their Kickstarter projects. If there was ever a company that doesn't need it, it's that company. The whole song and dance they do with their stretch goals is a myth and a fantasy. Whatever you get is what they were planning on giving you the whole time. And they should be even more ashamed that they will be running Kickstarters even if something else hasn't delivered. But that ship has sailed. They've sailed away like a Styx song, and it's never coming back. Nick, before you buy Fallout 4, you need to play Skyrim on PS4, a much better game. Well, I have Skyrim for PS3 and never got around to playing it, and people told me it was so buggy that I was scared to play it. But man, I loves me Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. People keep telling me Fallout 4 is not that great, but I still want to play it, man. I'm telling you. People keep telling me it's too crafty. Like, there's too much, like, civilization building and house building and all that, and you can't really avoid some of it. I hope that's not the case. Wait, are we due for a new top 10 deck builders? Probably. Although I feel like that wasn't that long ago. I could be wrong. Can you say out loud for me? Jennifer. Oh boy, I'm going to read this first. You're not going to trick me, Travis. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to read this because it's whatever. Jennifer, this is Travis Hunter. I'm pretty ugly and a poopy head, and I'm trying to get a hold of you. Please look at your damn Instagram account. Why would you even remotely assume that Jennifer would be watching this stream? Maybe she is. And if that's the case, Jennifer, dump this creep. Good times. Glad to see you're back in the mix, Nick. Keep up the great work. Cheers. I came for a Styx reference, and you got it. Oh, I caught up? That's awesome. This is perfect time to stop. I'm sorry, Adam. I am going to stop. It can only go downhill from here. Don't get me wrong. I 100% agree with you on Cool Me or Not. I thought you enjoyed a good portion of their products, i.e. Blood Rage, Arcadia Quest. No trolling, just a sincere question. Bugbear's going nuts behind me. I'm waiting for Nick to wipe his nose. Not today, Adam. I've been blowing it into my tea. Here's the deal. I do like a lot of Cool Me or Not games. I have really been disappointed in most of their recent fare. I thought that The Others was just bad. Not like awful, but bad. What was the other one? Oh, the stupid Smog game, the World of Smog game, bad. Masmora, bad. I hated that I had to wait, like, they were selling copies of the Dreadmire expansion for Xenoshift, a game that I had backed on Kickstarter, at Gen Con, and I didn't get my copy until January. And that was one of those things where it's like, I probably shouldn't be that upset about this, but I'm upset about this, and fuck you. And so I'm kind of over the whole fanboyism of Cool Mini or Not. If they put out another good game, I'll check it out. I'm done with buying new Zombicide stuff. I'm done with sucking their dick, if I want to put it really crassly, because I feel like I should put it crassly. But hey, I love you guys, guys and girls. Thank you so much for coming. I'm not even sure. I wasn't paying attention to how many people we had. Doesn't matter, because you guys asked fantastic questions, those of you that were here, and I really had a great time. And there will be another Q&A on Saturday. I hope that I am as lively then as I am now. Now I'm kind of on the weird thing where I'm exhausted, I only have hours of sleep under my belt from this whole week, and I'm just running on fumes, and I get a little loopy. But that's fine. That's good for you, basically. But thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I mean that sincerely. Don't take it too seriously. Have fun. Bye-bye.